be recorded for quality assurance, right? Well, welcome everybody. Welcome. I want to share a few things today before we get started. I'm kind of doing a duality. Last week we had a powerful opportunity to explore something at a depth that I had not intended on initially. I didn't think that we'd have the opportunity, but being able to get Brandon come on and talk with us about the disc assessment, and it's since I set up the syllabus, I had then had the opportunity to have access to some of these things, and I wanted to share it with you. I've just been delighted to look at the discussion boards and see that it is a point of interest from you. So I just want to provide that value. There's no, this is complimentary. I will say this, and I want to give a few little specks of information, and then we'll delve into the creation of the management action plan. Please understand, okay, use these powers for good and not for evil. Okay, I want to be real clear. This disc assessment is not for us to point to everybody else and say this is wrong and you're wrong and this I know what's wrong with you and I can figure it out. No, all four of those sounds, so to speak, all four of those elements reside in all of us. We all just have different levels of it. Okay. When you think about anybody who's trying to engineer a song and they're moving the mixers up and down, the treble and the bass and all those kind of EQ and everything, we've all got that in us. Some people have more bass and some people have more treble. Some people have more, of the D, more of the C, more of the S. So it's our job to be, I think, aware and knowledgeable of what those areas are so that we can see it in ourselves, understand how to put ourselves in the best situations, and then also understand how to delegate in some areas. There's some areas I am not qualified to be in. I'm gonna be honest with you. Okay, I'm not gonna go in all detail of my disc assessment, but I will tell you, I recognize now, oh, there's nothing wrong with me. It's just the way I'm built. It's just the way I'm balanced. So now I have a decision. Do I go out and try to be something I'm not? The answer is no. The answer is now I understand the value of banding together. Now, if I'm smart, I'm looking for people who are strong in the areas of deficiency that I have, so to speak, so that now I can partner with them and watch this. I can add value. We're blessed to be a blessing. That's the point of this disc assessment. So please, I don't want to get a call from somebody's HR saying we had to let so-and-so go because they was out there trying to low-key be Dr. Phil on everybody. Like, don't be that person. If you want to change the world, change it. With that being said, let's hop on real quick. I want to show you. Let's see if I can do this from my phone. I think we can. I think I can. I think I can. Boom. I think I just did. Okay. Yay. I think everybody can see the screen now. Okay. So just reiterating on what I just said, the real work starts with you. I think the picture's worth 1,000 words. That's why I like the images. I need you to understand the disc assessment. We're going to call it the flight assessment. Flight assessment allows you to get a clearer picture of who you are in this thing called the world so that you can be a better participant in, so that you can enjoy the experience. This is one of the keys to enjoying teaching. What? Understanding that the work starts with you. The classroom is actually a reflection of you. But in order for that classroom to reflect you, you need to know what your reflect is. Once we reflect, our job is never to turn the mirror on others, okay? If they choose to, if they elect, you'll never see me out here. I'm not really going to ask what y'all's disc assessment is. I'm not going to try to figure you guys out and all that kind of stuff. I just freely gave value, okay? Now, watch this. Now that I know myself better, now I can see the world better. Again, I'm real clear. Do not go out there and try to do a psychoanalysis on everybody. That's not what the tool is for. But in knowing who you are and knowing the different adaptations and the different categories out there, you will now be able to see certain preferences, tendencies, behavior attributes. And watch this. Don't change other people's behavior, but see how the world. It's creating windows of opportunity. I like to say I'm able to see the world through a lens of love now and not aggravation. So the 4 principles to live by. Number 1, study who you are authentically. Don't make assumptions anymore. Stop making assumptions. I've given you the tools now. You don't have to assume anymore. But in order to not put yourself in a place of assumption, you have to become a master of your language. I tell my kids all the time, I need you guys to be fluent in B flat knees. I'm not bilingual. I'm trilingual. I speak 13 languages. English. I don't speak I don't speak Japanese. I speak B flat knees, A flat knees, E flat knees. You get the idea. And I tell them, in order to master the song, you have to master the language that is spoken in. What language, what key are we speaking in? And I think that these are four beautiful keys to study so that you then can master the languages. Why? So that you can be of better value to the world. Okay. When you understand the language and the characters that inhabit this thing called our life, then you add value and life becomes more valuable. Number three, make the small adjustments with yourself. Okay. And when we say your team, it's your colleagues. If you co-teach with somebody, this may be of value to share with them, but be a gentleman, be a gentle person with it. Don't push this on people. Okay. If somebody's interested, obviously you can share it with them, but at the same time, it's so much better you just to model it. Okay. Be attractive, because when you become your best self, then you become attractive. People are drawn to it and they'll want to know more. And then lastly, revisit the assessment, often revisit it. Okay. Go back and look at it again. Be a student of yourself, because at the end of the day, you have an awareness of it, but the objective is to become a master of it. Now, this image that I'm showing you right now this was game changing for me. This understanding. So I want to put it in the imagery that everybody can understand. When you look at your DISC assessment, you'll see where there's almost like a bar graph, and some of you may have been green, and the green bar was really, really high, or you may have been red. Your red may have been really, really low. And we understand red. We understand that at its peak, at its most D, it's aggressive, or it's dominant, or it's focused on problems, and that the yellow at its most yellow, that it's people centered and driven. It's more of a social element, and it's more touchy feely, and it's open, and it's focused more on people than the objectives, right? And then I can go on for the rest. You can see the visual, but look at what the arrows do. See, even though you may be a low D, you still have D, but now watch this. You're probably less aggressive, but it doesn't mean that flavor isn't in the soup. Okay. It's just the seasoning's not strongly seasoned. So I always want you to understand that everybody has a level of seasoning. You've got all these in there. It's just a matter of which arrow are you. Are you more or are you less? You can see in the disc, it's more aggressive. On the D, it's less aggressive. The I is more trusting, right? Less trusting. S, more trying to slow down. It likes the pace. It likes, let's keep things the way that they are. Let's give a pacing. We need a certain rhythm. I need consistency. I need that order. I need systems. These are the things that bring me joy. Don't change. When COVID hit, the green people was hurting because everything was unprecedented. I need less unprecedented. I need more precedent, right? And then the C, more worried about quality, right? Oh, it's not right. We got to get it fixed, right? Less fear for the rules. You can see those things. So these are images that I'm going to share in the discussion boards. I'm going to share on our, I call it the portal. I'm going to share it online with you guys as well too. This is a image or a visual that I really wanted to share with you. I think it's so interesting that when somebody did a study and they I guess they did a good cross section, so they have a general idea of what the 8 billion people in this world are. And you can see the breakdown. It's basically 30% for everybody except D. That's actually a minority. But it's so interesting, as most of you talked about in the discussion board, the majority of our leaders oftentimes fall in the minority of the sounds, the minority of the behavior or the preferences and tendencies that we've been talking about. That's very interesting to me, but it's also very important that you understand and get that visual of where you stand in the world according to that study. Now, if we talk about D, I just got these students, I'm just kind of breaking them down. You can see their characteristics. A lot of times the students that give us the most grief are the Ds. I call them Dave for right now. These are what I call, if you equated it to, we call it a flight assessment. If you equate it to a flight, this is the pilot, like Brandon was talking about. He's just more concerned about getting it done. Okay. I was on a flight a few months back, and at one point in the middle of the flight, I literally saw the pilot get out of the cockpit. It was one of these little bitty planes too, and he walked all the way back to the bathroom. I need you to understand I was very concerned. I'm just telling you, like, as a passenger, there's something very unsettling about seeing your pilot walk out of the cockpit to the bathroom, because number one, I did not take an account of how many pilots were in the cockpit. So my mind is just, I'm high C. I'm thinking, I sure hope there's two pilots up there. I don't care if that bad boy on autopilot. I do not want my pilot walking to the bathroom, right? So I'm telling you this for this reason. We can joke about it, but at the end of the day, nobody really expects a pilot to be super social. Like, we want our pilot to be more concerned about problems. And some of these students are very come off aggressive, right? You can see the characteristics right there. Right now, we're probably thinking of some students that fit that bill. I'm telling you right now, there's nothing wrong with those students. We just have to embrace and understand what their role is. I got Iggy right here. Iggy, you can see it. She's high I, right? You think of famous people, Will Smith. Maybe I should have picked another person, but 1 year later, I still hurts. Oprah Winfrey, Rob Gronkowski. These are the high I's. These are the people. Life of the party, right? But sometimes not very focused on the details. Sometimes as a teacher, we can be frustrated with the student because they seem to not really care. But it's not that they don't care. Their point of focus is in a different place. And then we got Sydney. Sydney is that high S. These are the people of systems, right? Okay. They even come off somewhat shy. But these are the students oftentimes we love because they don't give us a lot of grief. But we also have to understand too that we have to provide a sense of stability for these students as well. They oftentimes won't be the ones that just take the lead in the initiative. We have to give them those spaces to be. And our environments and our expectations are fuel for them to be successful. And then lastly, Courtney. Courtney's that kid, back in the day. If you had Courtney, you remember we were in class back in the day and the teacher was like, when everybody finishes, we're going to give the treats. And Courtney's like the last kid that's not finished. Checked it twice. Now he's checking it 3 times and the bell's about to ring. We hadn't gotten the treats. We hadn't gotten the cookies yet because he's like, I'm not quite sure if it's right. I call it the turtle element. I mean, you want something done right, give it to a turtle, but it may not get done that same day. Why? Because they're really big on quality. If we're thinking about the plane, the pilot is Dave, it's D. It's the flight attendant, as Brandon said. Ground crew is that's my man Sydney, and then finally Courtney. That's going to be air traffic control. Now you can see the graphic that I was showing you earlier. You can see how some of the bars are super high. So remember, the higher they are, the more you are characteristic of that letter. The lower they are, just think of the opposite of that letter, okay? And you can even see in your assessment, there's adjectives that describe it. So we can keep this thing super simple, find where you are in the graph and find the corresponding word. And that basically represents or identifies, according to the answers that you gave, who you are in that space. Now, I got this right. I have nothing against Prince Will. Okay, my son's name William. I love a good William, right? But sometimes things, we look at it and we take offense. Now, I don't know about you. What I'm looking at right now really brings offense to me. I would not accept that in my classroom. I don't think that's very professional. I would not do that to y'all. And sometimes we blow off the handle over a situation. But how many times, watch this, have we come back later and realized that what we were looking at is really not what we were seeing? And how many of us, once we did the assessment, our minds begin to go back at situations and we begin to realize, wow, maybe I've been looking at this thing all wrong. Maybe what I've been looking at is a deficiency is actually somebody else's superpower, because our perspective is based on our position. And now that we're in a position of awareness, I hope that this now changes the way we see things. See, if I took it in my own matters in my own hands and I put my hands on Prince William and told him, you get that finger down, how embarrassing would that be to realize that what I was looking at was not actually what I was seeing? As teachers, it's our jobs to be behavior detectives as much as anything. We're frustrated because a lot of times we don't speak the same language. But in order to influence, you have to speak their language. We have to be able to speak the language of our students and our colleagues. We see this in other people, and we see it as a superpower. I promise you, I bet you Michael Jordan was nothing nice to teach in school. He's driven, he's decisive, but that made him an amazing basketball player. But the teacher that was able to lock in with him and to show him that that was a superpower, I promise you, I promise you that he probably made a nice teacher appreciation gift once he signed those contracts. I'm just saying, interactive. There were teachers that this woman right here probably drove crazy. She was probably interrupting, probably asking questions. Little did we know that her ability to ask questions would actually be her claim to fame down the road. Stabilizing, right? Right? Being able to make the situation better for most. Now, according to some folks, come to my attention that Mother Teresa was actually a D. But that's another story for another day. But I just like the image of somebody who stabilizes, somebody who brings peace, calm, and then cautious. You know, these are the things we want to think about and look at. So when just giving that quick overview, I think it's so important that before we start creating our MAP, our management action plan, that we take an assessment on evaluation of who we are first. So I'm going to blaze through something in just a second, but I'm going to ask you to do something. Share what your highest ISC was. Were you more of the pilot, the D? Were you more of the flight attendant, I? Were you more of the grounds crew, the S? Or were you more of the air traffic control, C? If you would just put the letter in the chat, that would be fantastic. I'll give you guys just a few moments to consider that. Talk amongst yourself. I'm like, was it Sally J. Raphael? Was that talk show host? I'm dating myself now. No, you're good. I'm actually going to a meeting. Y'all are good. Let's see what we got in the chat. Let's see. So which ones? Oh, okay. So some of us didn't get a chance to do it yet. Okay, that's no problem. Yes, green. Okay, no problem. Take some time. Yes. And by the way, don't feel bad. It's okay. I didn't expect anybody to have it all done. It's all good. I just knew a couple people told me they had it, so I just was curious. Oh, that's good. Okay. Got the pilot. Okay, little flight attendant. Now, one thing you'll notice, and we're gonna break these things down, and I'm gonna set up some sessions for those that are interested. You can schedule a time with me if you want a breakdown of your assessment. I'll be happy to give you that just personally, because I think it's a valuable tool, and it's important to kind of know who you are in relative to that, because the assessment has a natural and an adaptive element to it as well. And in times of our most comfortable, we are one thing. And for many people, when we're in a point of crisis or stress or we're adapting, sometimes we can switch. And we've seen people like that. You know, as Brandon was saying yesterday, like, oh my God, what just happened? You know, this person just went off the reservation. Well, a lot of times that's just because, you know, in points of crisis, we tend to go into flight or flight mode, you know, and that's what the adaptive state means. So what I want to do right now with everybody is, if you look at your flight assessment, you'll see in the back of it, it has not only just a general talk about what your behaviors and preferences and tendencies are, it also gives you some powerful tools you can use to be most effective. So it tells us in the flight assessment that in order to be successful, in order to work better with others, these are the things you may want to consider in your behaviors, in your conversations, in your communication techniques. It also shows us, hey, if we want to be most efficient and effective, we want to take heed of doing certain things in our planning, in our day-to-day activities. This is why I say this is such a powerful tool, because this tool actually gives you tools you can use to create a management action plan. So that's the first half of this. I want to kind of deviate and shift right now, because the focus of today is giving you the framework of creating your own management action plan. And the feedback that I got from everybody, or from most of us, was that it's two areas: planning and creating balance in our day and being more effective planners, and mitigating worry and anxiety. Those are the two biggest things that I heard. So I've created two videos for you, okay, that I'm going to share, because the breakdown of, I thought about it, I said, well, I don't want to pick which one. I want to give value for both. So I've created two videos that break down frameworks that I've created for creating a management action plan. Now, two things. You can either choose to use my framework as is to create your own management action plan, or you can just use it as a reference to create your own. But today, I wanted to share just a little overview of what my management action plan is, and provide the videos that go into even greater detail. Any questions before we shift to that? Any questions? Feel free to unmute. I know I've done a lot of talking. I'm trying to squeeze a lot of information in. Any questions if that's was unclear, or any questions? No, don't worry, I'm gonna wait a few more seconds for the awkward Zoom delay. It's all good. Just want to give that space. Okay, so I'm gonna do like I do in my class. I see no hands, I hear no questions, so we will proceed. All right. So watch this. Let's see if I can do it. So when it talks about the management action plan, okay, a few things. Okay, I'm going to kind of talk this out. Don't worry, I have a video that really spells it out, and I have some nice graphics on it too. Management action plan comes from three ideas at the beginning. I always like to do the pre-work. Now, when we talk about the pre-work is building the foundation. It comes down to three things. Number one, it's declaring your desired goals. This is why I put so much emphasis in the last few weeks about asking what it is that you actually want, because what it is you want will determine the steps you need to take. Don't just copy somebody else's plan, because you don't know where their destination is. The next thing is what I call designing your XYZ statement. Now, I'm going to give you a quick overview of it, but don't worry, I go into more detail, and I have a couple graphics on the video that I have for you guys. But basically, XYZ is simple. It's as follows. X marks the spot. It's the intersection between your gift and your passion. Okay? What are you gifted at, and what are you passionate about? When you find that, you become very powerful. And it's very important that we identify that, because once we are aware of that, just like the DISC assessment, think about how empowering it was to see that DISC. It was very empowering to kind of know who you are. Well, your passion and your gift are powerful as well too. That's what your kids feel when they're in the classroom with you. That's what you felt that first day when I asked you to close your eyes and think of that person. I don't know how acutely aware that person was of their gift and their passion, but if they were aware of it as much as the students, then it made them an incredibly effective teacher. Now, that's X. What is Y? Y is just that. It's WHI, WHY. Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? So a lot of people are just going through the motions, and we know, folks, we've been there at times. There's been seasons where we've probably all done that. But when you know why you're doing something, you become incredibly powerful. Z is just that. It's the end. It's the destination, destiny. Do you know that if you take somebody someplace and don't tell them where they're going, that's a felony? And for so many kids, every day we're taking them to a place and we hadn't told them where we're taking them. That's kidnapping. That's kidnapping. So it's so important that we can articulate not only what our gift and our passion is, not only who we're serving, but also where we're taking them. When you can outline that, I'm telling you right now, that's worth the cost of admission. If you just can identify that for yourself, you distinguish yourself. Look, I'm gonna just make up a number, but I feel strong about it. I think you're like the 2%. I think most people living this thing called life cannot accurately articulate the three things that I just said. But if you can do that, it makes life so much clearer in the classroom and outside the classroom. And it makes you more of an authority in the eyes of those kids. They're like, okay, this person knows what they're doing. We've all seen the teacher first day, like they just started, and the kids they can smell it. They'll, oh, I smell a first year teacher, right? They can just tell, right? And it's not that that person's not competent. They just don't have the clarity, and they don't have the competence and the confidence yet that comes with that clarity. That's what I want to provide you. And then once you have that X, Y, Z clarity, and don't worry, in the video, it breaks it down a little bit more. Then you go to a point where you start defining your dreams, whether those dreams are in your classroom or outside your classroom. That pre-work is necessary. It's so necessary because from there, I take this level of what I call distilling the dream. So write this down, pre-work, so important. So when you watch the video, you know what to look for. Pre-work is number one. Then the second thing is you distill the dream. How do you distill the dream? How do you break? Look, I keep saying distill. Everybody knows what that is. I'm from Louisiana. We got a lot of distilleries. I'm just saying, if you come to Louisiana, I don't drink, but I'm intrigued by the idea. They have a distillery trail. Do y'all know that? Like, you come to Louisiana, you fly into New Orleans, there's a bus they put you on, and they drive you for about 4 hours. They take you from distillery to distillery, all in South Louisiana. And apparently people have a fun time out there. I can just imagine. So if you want to come to Louisiana, pass a good time, go on the distillery tour. But we're talking about distilling the dream. How do we distill the dream? By using daily devices, okay, to manifest that destiny in our classroom. I like that idea, manifest destiny. If you go do your history book, that was a powerful thing, right? So I have a manifest destiny in my classroom. How do I do that? Number one, I know what my dreams are for my classroom and for myself. And then once I know my dreams, watch this. Whoever invented the pizza was a genius, but whoever invented the pizza slice was a god among men and women. I'm just saying, think about it. If you tried to eat a whole pizza, it would be a mess and it might cause you physical harm. But if you could chop it up into slices, isn't it easier to eat? And think about it. We know this as music teachers. We would never just plow through a whole song. I mean, even the music people, even the music gods knew, let's divide it into measures, into slices, right? But for so many of us, we have the dream, and most times the dreams don't come true, not because the dream wasn't great, but because we didn't know how to break it down. We didn't know how to distill it, whether that's in our classroom or outside of our classroom. Look what I want you to start doing. Whether you're getting ready for MPA, I need you to have an M.A.P. I need you to have a management action plan. What does that mean? I need you, once you figure out what your ultimate goal is to then have 3 goals each week, a weekly set of goals, 3 goals for the week that point back to the big impossible dream. 3 goals in the week that point back to the impossible dream. And then if you accomplish those things in 1 week, then the next week you have 3 more goals. And then the next week you have 3 more. You see where I'm going with this? Each week you're doing that. It's like Legos that you're stacking up, and before you know it, you've created a wall of greatness or a tower of excellence. But it's small things done well, stacked on top of each other over time. Most people fail because they overestimate what they can do in a day and they underestimate what they can do in a decade. I need you to think about that. It's not that your goals are too lofty, but how are you going about seeing them come into fruition? There's nothing special about me, but there is something significant. I understand the significance of each day. Small things done well, stacked on top of each other over time. But if you don't have a plan, you won't see the significance. That's why I call it see the sound. How many things have we overlooked and undervalued because it wasn't big? Small things done well, stacked on top of each other over time. 3 small things each week. Now watch this. Every week, I do what I call a quality quadrant. I write down people I'm going to see, things I need to do, professional needs and personal needs, and I write those things down. I just dump them. I just dump those things down. I get it out my head. We carry too much stuff in our head, and then we end up carrying it in our body. Whether it's tension, whether it's stress, whether it's disease, okay? We carry too much. We weren't meant to carry all that. So it's very important that you do a purging every day. Get that stuff out your head. Put it on paper so you don't forget it. But I do the quality quadrant. Why? Because I want to improve the quality of my life. And then from there, I do my sound check. And I ask myself each and every day, and we talked about the sound check before, see yourself beyond yourself. Operate in optimism and excellence. Utilize all available resources. Nourish relationships. We talked about that quadrant. I'm going to show it in the video so it breaks it down. I do these, and it sounds like a lot of stuff, but I promise you it's not. Everything that I just outlined, I do in the course of about 10 to 15 minutes every day. to start my day. But I'm starting my day with a level of intentionality. Now, the first time I did it, it seemed kind of weird. Maybe it took me 20 minutes to do. But then after I did it a few times, I'm like, oh, this is easy. This is easy. I just write it down, get it out my head. And I'm telling you, it's cheaper than therapy. The therapist charged so much more. And all I did was just spout it out to him or her. And I'm telling you, I'm like, man, I could save a lot of money. I feel like Progressive or Geico. I'm saving 15% or more, right? So I just put it on paper. And then watch this. Each day I do a brain dump, which is what the quality quadrant basically was. I just get it out of my head. Now that brain dump can ultimately turn into a to-do list, but I just get the out my head. And then lastly, each and every day, before I actually write down my planner, I write down my daily big three. And my daily big three points back to my what? Weekly big three. Can you understand how I make every day a Wednesday, W-I-N-S? Because as I continue to distill it down from the yearly goal, dream, to the weekly big three, to the daily big three, listen, the year goal, that seems impossible. Like it's huge. I'm like, I can't do that. But then I'm like, well, what can I do in 1 week to move the needle? And I'm like, oh, I can do that. You give me 5-7 days, I can do that. But then from there, I'm like, what can I do in 1 day to move the needle toward the 1 week thing? See, we do this as directors. Don't we do this? You don't just do the whole song. We naturally do this as teachers, but professionally we do it, but personally we don't. I'm not giving you something new to put on the plate. I'm just showing you how to see the plate. Treat it the same way you treat a rehearsal. One measure at a time. And then with each day, watch this, I leave with a level of confidence and I feel good about myself because each and every day I'm like, wow, I am somebody. I did something today. What did you do? I did the small thing. And to the average person, if you go home and say, boy, I did such and such, they're like, that's so small, but you know it's powerful because it's actually pointing towards something. It's not just idle busyness, but it's business. It's business. So I want us to get out of the habit of just doing busyness and start doing business. And watch this, when I get that framework, now when I take out a planner, now my planner is powerful because I'm not just planning out my day, I'm putting purpose into my day. And that's different. I bought a lot of planners and none of them worked until I started putting purpose into the planner. So I just unpacked like a ton of stuff. Okay. So how many, raise your hand if you are a flight attendant. Any flight attendants here? Any flight attendants? I'm just curious. Oh my goodness, this is gonna be dangerous. No flight attendants, my God. Okay, this may not work. All right, I need somebody to pretend to be a flight attendant because I'm about to go in here and talk to these parents in just a second. But what I'm gonna ask you to do is two things. I'm gonna ask you to discuss how you feel DISC can be a tool for creating your own management action plan. That's the first thing. I think that's enough to kind of break down. What are your thoughts on that? And I'm going to ask everybody to share. Okay. You can either take yourself off of mute or you can use the chat. Okay. But I'm going to ask each of us to share. Okay. Do me a favor, Willie. Would you do me a favor? I'm going to ask you to unmute and you can quote the Declaration of Independence. You can do whatever, you can say whatever you want to say. Can you we do a sound check? I'm going to see if I can kind of mute talk. Let me hear you just go on and on. Talk to me real quick.
We the people, in order to form a more perfect union,
Fantastic. He actually knows it. Oh, that
establish
was impressive.
justice, ensure
Hey.
domestic tranquility. Okay.
Okay, that's impressive. Hey, my man. You never disappoint, man. Appreciate it. Hey, so look, I think I hit the right button. I don't want to end the Zoom just yet, but I am going to put it on mute on my end so I can't hear y'all. But if you can kind of take yourselves off mute, talk amongst yourselves about the relationship, if any, between DISC and the MAP that you see it. And let's just share some of our ideas so collaboratively we can come up with an idea of how we can create our own framework if that's something we elect to do in creating our management action plan for ourselves. Again, this management action plan is to help you navigate your days with more clarity and more purpose and more effectiveness as an individual so that you can be a more sound educator when you step out in front of the kids. So, all right, as you are.
All right, so I took the assessment and it never emailed me my results, so. But I know I'm a person who likes to take control. So I know that much. And I
I
don't know
took the
about.
assessment. Oh, sorry, Julie, were you
Go
finished?
ahead. Go ahead,
I
Michelle.
took the assessment and I came back equal parts flight attendant and pilot. A lot going on in here. Got to do all the things.
I got the same.
Yeah. How long did it take you to do? Because I started just the very beginning of it, and then I looked at the time and realized I didn't know if I had enough time to do it before class.
I think I did it in that 10 minutes from when I sat down and opened my email and saw the message to do it. And then I came in just after 7. So just about 10 minutes. I
Okay.
zipped right through it. I didn't belabor it.
Okay. So what were you, Michelle? What is?
I was equal parts pilot and flight attendant.
Okay. Oh, no.
I got equal parts flight attendant and grounds crew, almost equal parts. But I need to read a little bit more about, I keep mixing up which is which. So I'll have to, I mean, it's a big document they email you, so I gotta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of useful information on the document that they send you as well. I got equal parts, pretty much grounds crew and air traffic control. But I'd never taken this assessment before. Has anyone else ever taken this type of assessment? So I wasn't surprised. I was surprised that it read me so well, because as you read through a lot of the things that that I'm like, yeah, that's me. Oh, yeah, that's me. I found it helpful, but I didn't know how accurate it really could be. And then as I was reading it, I was like, it's kind of pretty accurate. It was very helpful, I think.
I agree. I think it's got me pretty close too.
I haven't taken it yet, but is it similar to Myers-Briggs in how it breaks things down at all, or different strategies?
It's a little bit different, but I've been able to apply, like as I'm reading the different disc categories, I can like categorize certain Myers-Briggs into each. Like I think ESFP and ENFP would definitely fit flight attendant. ESTJ, ISTJ might, or ENTJ might fit red, the pilot. So
I'm impressed that you guys all did it already. I just got it, and I don't know, I've been like managing my flight attendant world with my children since I got home, and I haven't got it yet. I'll
No,
get
I
there.
did it like 10 minutes before class. It didn't take,
Me
it
too.
doesn't take a long time.
Yeah.
And I think it's meant for you not to overthink like your answers. I think it's meant for you to kind of go through fairly quickly so that you don't overthink things.
I've done a lot of assessments like that. For like, have you ever had to fill out a form for students who are being evaluated for like ADHD or various things? And that kind of test is pretty common for that. And yeah, just like your first instinct of what fits. I just haven't gotten to it. I was making dinner and doing stuff, so I'll get there.
Yeah. So those people who took the assessment, do you think that how that is going to affect how you teach?
I see it affecting how I teach, but for me, it's how do I, we all teach, I don't know how many students I'm currently not teaching, but when I am in the teaching world, it's, almost 300 students. So how do you transfer this to help you understand your students when there's so many of them that you're trying to connect with?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I was wondering how many students people have, because it seems like most people here are ensemble directors. And I'm general music nursery through 8th grade. So I basically have every child in the school. So yeah, I have a lot, like 420. So it's a little overwhelming for me. It's like some kids really stand out, your reds stand out right away. And just as you're looking at trying to stop being blinded by certain personalities, you really want to find the quiet ones too. And then, as my mother used to say when we were little, what's all that silence going on?
I have around 800 students, 700 to 800 students in a week.
my-
And so I do general, chorus, and band. And I can say that for this, just my opinion, this for me, I probably won't use because it's less like it's less detailed than the Myers-Briggs stuff, and I've been studying that since I was like 16 and I'm 41 now. So I feel like I have a much better handle on it, and I can easily categorize my students into introvert, extrovert, and then into your concrete thinkers versus your abstract thinkers. So for me, that works a lot better in my general music classrooms because they really do stand out as introvert, extrovert based on who's coming up to me instead of raising their hand and, all of that stuff. So yeah.
Oh, that's a lot of kids.
Yeah, I'm kind of burnt out after 5 years
Yeah.
in this school, and it's a trauma school. So I miss
Oh.
my old school and my old in the other state. I taught in New Jersey first, but yeah. So I'm looking to move on in the next year or two.
Oh man. Um,
Sorry, my daughter was just singing at the top of her lungs, so I didn't. That's why I typed it. But and she might start again. So, but I just think it's helpful. Like in the evaluation that we got from our analysis or whatever, I really appreciated all of those weakness moments of things to consider. And I think that would be helpful, especially for students who aren't like myself or when I have challenging personalities.
yeah.
I think also like for me it can be helpful a little bit maybe in disciplining students and how I do it, whether it's privately or just, quickly just disciplining them in class. Just knowing if they want to have attention drawn to them or not, or, so I don't know.
I definitely think there's a place for it. Like as I dive deeper into, reading about my own personalities, and then I think you can definitely identify over time what kind of categories some of your students fall into, especially when you're assigning small groups or ensembles and smaller ensembles, and definitely will use it moving forward. Just figuring out what piece of the puzzle or how to use it would basically be where I would be leaning into next.
Yeah.
I can also see it being really helpful in dealing with colleagues and just, when we're trying to make decisions as a group, understanding how each of us kind of falls into these categories, I think is helpful to think about how to interact and communicate better with the group that we're working with.
And somebody had mentioned in the discussion boards about how you deal with your principal. So, wow, yeah, that makes so much sense. But as we had said once, principals tend to be more red, the D. But you know, when it comes to principals, that's like, that is one job I will never want. And so when decisions are made that I'm not happy with, I always have to say, that is a job I don't want. And so just trying to remember from her perspective where she's coming from and the kind of pressures on her, and how to deal with, you know, different personalities. When I was in different schools, I had the principals were just very, very different how they ran their schools, and they had both good schools. It's just that they were just so, their personalities were so different that you really had to, it's like you had to screw on a different head to go from building to building. So Terry, I'm assuming that you're in a few different buildings then. Am I right? I
I'm
mean,
just
that's
in
a lot of
one.
kids. I'm sorry.
I'm just in one. I do K-5.
And there are that many kids in that school?
Yeah.
Wow.
How many kids are there in the school? I'm
Like
intrigued.
between 700 and 800.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of names to remember.
Yeah.
Indeed. Indeed. Well, I'm just kind of hopping in. I appreciate y'all being able to just kind of take that and run with it. I had no doubt you guys would be able to do that. I kind of want to just take a moment right now and just give you some information, but also open up the space for some questions on my end, so I can make sure I'm adding value. When we talk about this management action plan, I want to be real clear. This course is about you. This course is about you. And each and every one of us has a different scenario. I heard it just briefly, just in a few moments that I was listening, how everybody's campus situation is different. Everybody's working hierarchy system is different. Everybody's community needs and demographics are different. So, you know, there's no one size fits all. There's no cookie cutter. I gave you a framework, and I'm going to share that link to that video as well, that provides a framework for what a management action plan could be. But the needs in this call are going to be very diverse, just as diverse as the individuals on the call. For some people, their management action plan, and again, it should reflect a personal management action plan. We'll have one for the classroom. We'll have a specific classroom in our next section. This is our finale of our discover our sound, our person, our significance. The next session is going to be setting up your classroom, setting up the stage. But when we talk about this, for some people, it's going to be, okay, I need a management action plan. I'm not very disciplined. Okay, so maybe I need some help with the discipline, or I'm not very organized, or man, I need a management action plan for you fill in the blank for what the pain point is, what the problem is. And my hope for you is that you, over the last few weeks, we become aware of maybe some areas that could be firmed up. Okay, and that's what this management action plan should point to, in those areas. So maybe yours is personal. Maybe your management action plan is specifically set to worry. I had some folks saying I'm having some tremendous issues with anxiety right now, overwhelmed by that. Well, I have another link that I'm going to do because I was divided on this. I said, let me just do 2 videos. And I've created a management action plan to help you navigate how to not be overcome with worry. I affectionately call it, don't worry, it's just worry. Okay, so I'm going to give you the steps for that. Okay, not just a little speech, but like specific things that you can do that you can start plugging into your day. But with all that being said, I'm just curious if we could just do, we only have a few minutes left, but maybe in the chat, kind of expedite it in the chat. If you could share with us, if you don't mind, what is your pain point? What is that area that you want to create a management action plan to improve on in your life, in yourself, in your personal? Again, if the personal is better, then the professional is going to be better, right? So what is that area? Okay, what is that thing? And you know, if you just want to put one word, you can put that. If you want to go in detail, you can. You know, but what is that thing? That's good. Okay. Consider my always having better reach. Good. Good. That's good. Having a plan to reach students, and specifically all the students, particularly the ones that may be nothing like you. Well, I think that's very noble, number one, and I think that's the right spirit. And I think the DISC assessment is the first step to that, because it's not our job to um, to put ourselves in the student's shoes. I just think it's our job oftentimes to see that they need some shoes or to see the shoes themselves, because there's certain things you can't put yourself in their shoes. You just can't, nor should you always, because for some kids, if they're down, they need somebody that's up that can help pull them up, so to speak. And I know I'm kind of going in a different direction. Jessica, I know that's not necessarily what you're saying, but in this moment, I just want to address that too. Don't feel that you have to carry an additional burden for the student. Be the model, be the lighthouse, and help draw them up. Because a lot of times as a kid, I'm just looking for somebody that gives me some hope, but I just need that person to see me. I don't need them to take on the burden that I got or the challenge that I have. We don't need both of us sinking. I just need you to see me and recognize me so that I know that I have value, right? And I think the DISC assessment can go a long way in that, because now instead of having to figure out 8 billion people, we've got 4 categories. And that's a whole lot easier than 8 billion. Okay? That's a whole lot easier. Let's see. What we got? Let's see. Oh, did I do it right? Yeah. Okay, good. Organization. That's good. Organization. Yeah. Okay. Organization. Another one said management action plan. Self-renewal. That's good. More meditation. Regular exercise plan. How I can communicate with myself. Less criticism. That's good. Thank you. Thank y'all for being brave, guys. I know it's not easy putting this stuff down. I think it's so important. And you know what? If you don't put yourself in a position to prioritize yourself, I got to break it to you. No one else will. No one else will. I've been telling my daughter this for a long time, that you've got to see yourself as valued so that others will see you as valuable. So it's so important. This is good. And I think that starts with, look, I'm gonna be honest with you. My wife, we're coming up on our 20th. So I did this thing where we're doing 20 for 20. All right. We got 20 events that we're doing. No, they're not huge events. Okay. We're not rich. Okay. But like tomorrow we're going to see the moon. We're just going to ride out and go to the beach and see the moon. All right. I hope it's not cloudy. But these are small things that we can do, affordable things. But it's not even about the things. It's about the fact that I'm prioritizing. Right. I'm prioritizing. Before I filled up my calendar with other stuff, I filled my calendar with her. All right. Together means to get her. I'm a visual person. Together means to get her. You break it down phonetically. So I need you to get you. Okay. Nobody else is going to get you unless you get you. So each and every day, put a plan together. Okay. What am I going to do in the first moments to make sure that I don't lose myself in the moment? But if you already know, if you don't prioritize yourself, you know what's going to happen. The day is going to happen and you're going to look up and it's going to be 9:30. And then you're going to be angry because you came in last on everything. But if you don't, Ricky Bobby said, if you ain't first, you last. Now, I don't usually quote Ricky Bobby in Talladega Nights, but I'm just saying that man was brilliant when it comes to this. If you ain't first, you last. I need you to put yourself first, right? I need you to put yourself first. So let's see. This is good stuff. I'll try to get to as many as we can. Eat healthier. That's good. Man, Chris gave a masterclass on that. That was so good. I mean, he's got the the meal preps and everything. And look, think about Chris. He gave you his email. He's serious about that. If you email him, he will give you the keys to the kingdom. He will happily show you how to do the meal prepping and all that kind of stuff as well too. So feel free to reach out. These are resources that I'm bringing into your sphere so that you can take advantage of it. Somebody will say, I want to do what I can to have as much fun as I can each day. Come on. That's what I'm talking about. At school, with my students, my colleagues, and home with my family. Yeah, you gotta be with the fun. Watch this. The fun has to be fundamental. The fun has to be fundamental. You know, like we don't get offended when we say fundamental, but I need you to say fundamental. Like schedule it in. Hey, today I'm going to do such and such. You know, I'm going to stop everything and dance in the middle of class. You know, it's those moments that make it. That's why I love teaching elementary. I'm gonna be honest, elementary is fun, man, 'cause you can be silly sometimes. Now it's got its own challenges. You and I both know, but there is a beauty to it because we don't have to be so serious all the time. Or organizing my office, exercise, eating well. Yeah, that's good. That's good. And then watch this with the organization of the office. As you set up your to-do list or your planner, designate a day or a couple of days for organization. Stop everything and organize. Like maybe, and this sounds crazy, maybe Sunday evening, maybe roll back up to the school with no intention of doing work, but just kind of clean up.
Oh,
I did record it. All right. So yeah, I would do that on days, and that way on Mondays when I walk in, it'd be fresh and clean. And then on Thursday, I had another day where I was like, okay, during that planning period, no matter what happens, I'm going to clean. And then what happened was my whole week, I had a lot more organization. I wasn't as stressed. I didn't feel cluttered. But that's a management action plan, having a plan of action for that. So these are some ideas, guys. I hope this helps. Your ideas have been phenomenal. Now let's get to the business of the business. How many of y'all anybody feel like not confident about your management action plan? Be honest, speak now, forever hold your peace. Like, Mickey, I don't think I can do it. I don't think I can do it. Come on, be honest.
I think I just need clarification on like, is there an objective that we should be meeting in our own ways? Because I don't think I.
That's great. The objective is this, because I know you Jules like, I want the rubric. The objective is you. I want you, and I say that with love, not in a bad way, but the objective is I want you to create a tool that you will actually use this week. Okay. So even if it's a small management action plan, I'm not going to judge you guys. You're busy. I don't know what your workload is like. I don't know what your family life is like. I don't want you to create a 100-point step process that you can't actually carry out. The most significant thing and important thing is this is something that you actually use this week. Now, here's the good news. It's far better for you to come up, well, Mickey, I just have a 3-point management action plan. Okay, then do it. And then watch this. Allow yourself next week, if you see where, oh, wow, I did 3, let me bump it up to 4. Then allow it to grow with you. But I don't want you to do something that's so academically sound and it looks really impressive on a piece of paper, but nobody in their right mind could do it. That thing that I showed you was a development of 10 years. It would probably overwhelm some of you to do. Now with me, it's fine because I've been inching it up to reflect and fit my day-to-day life. So if that kind of gives you, does that give a little bit more clarity? It's about the effectiveness. Do something that you're going to actually use this week because I want to get feedback on it. I need you to talk to us about it. This is where it's working. This is where it's strong. This is where it needs, I need to firm it up on. Mickey, wow, it's amazing. I did this and this was an unexpected outcome. I don't want it just to be an assignment that just looks good on a piece of paper. I want it to be something that you actually can take pride in and that you can utilize and that you can measure yourself, your growth, and your effectiveness as both a professional and a person. Great question. I hope I answered it, but I was like, yeah, that's the question. I like that. Does that kind of make it a little easier for everybody too? Lisa, I see you got a question to share.
I just want to clarify that we're focusing on something personal, not classroom related, right?
Exactly. Personal.
Okay. And then the format can be whatever we want. Do you have anything in mind you're looking for in terms of like how this looks, or do you have any samples?
Yes. So remember the videos that I'm uploading? Okay. They will have an idea framework. Like I said, if you want to just take the one idea, feel free. I mean, it's fine. But you may look at what I'm doing and go, okay, I get it, but ooh, man, I don't know that fits me, or ooh, that's a bit much, or he's crazy. I don't know. You may look at it and feel any kind of way. So feel free to adapt it to you, or feel free to go, there's a couple people on this call, and I know we haven't talked, I can just tell. There's a couple people on this call that already have a management action plan. Like you already got a system that you use. It's okay. You don't have to go create a new one. If you have something that's working, then just kind of put it down on paper, because a lot of times we have systems of operation. We just haven't put them down to where we can identify them, study them, or preserve them. And what happens is sometimes we have things that are working and then life comes in and snatches it away. And we're like, well, how did we do that? I don't remember, but man, 2 years ago I was on fire and I can't remember what I did. We've all been there. So what I'm challenging you to do is to just take an assessment of who you are, where you're at, and create a framework that reflects, either where you are if you're winning, or if you have a pain point that you want to see fixed. Hey, I've been talking about fixing this. Let me go ahead and take some actionable steps toward recovering this or improving this. And then just putting that down on paper and making sure that each and every day that you're doing it. Because by holding yourself accountable, you'll see if it's actually effective or not. If it's effective. And don't worry, if you do your management action plan and you're not able to sustain it the week, you don't fail, okay? This is an opportunity for us to identify, just like the DISC assessment allowed us to become aware of our preferences and tendencies, so too will this management action plan allow us to be more cognizant of our activities and how we walk out this thing called life. And man, am I effective in my day-to-day goings, or am I spinning my wheels? These are the things I want you to be aware of as you do this. I would call it something. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I hate saying this word because when I say this, my wife gets angry. She's like, I hate these things. It's kind of like a food journal. I know I said the ugly word, the food journal. She's like, I don't want to write down my food, right? Nobody wants, we just want to eat it. We just want to enjoy it. But there is something powerful about journaling those things. Now, this is not necessarily a journal. It's a plan. It's a plan. It's just a step-by-step thing, okay? So on Monday, on each day of the week, I do this at this time. I do this, I do this. Now, depending on how much detail you want to go into it, that's on you, because everybody's a different color, right? So my C's, y'all probably gonna give me like 7 pages. And that's cool. I'm reading. For my eyes, maybe just straight bullet points. We want to talk about it, but that's fine. But whatever you do, put it down on paper so you can preserve it as it preserves you. Great questions. Anything else? I'm a bit over, but I want to make sure I give that space. Give that space. I don't want y'all to leave confused or frustrated. It's so tough when people give you autonomy to do it the way you want to do it, because we're so schooled. We're like, I need the answer. Is it A, B, C, or D? But that's not how life works. That's not how it works. How do I know that? I have a 19-year-old daughter, and she wants everything to be A, B, C, D, or all the above. And I'm like, honey, it don't work like that. It's you. It's you. So hope you enjoy your week this week and on your journey to discover who you are and how you operate, and a management action plan that both reflects you and benefits you in the process. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's a process. It's a process. And the whole idea is I want you to create something that you can put into action now, and it can keep going as we go through the school attainment. Just give us something that's reflective of who you are and where you want to be and the steps to get there. All right. Well, thank y'all. Thank y'all. I think we're good. I think all hearts and minds are clear. Y'all look great. Y'all look great. And that's on a Monday. Y'all look good, man. It's Monday. That says a lot. So if you need anything in the meantime, I do apologize. I was out of town. My dad's 89th birthday was this week. So I was like, I surprised him and went down there. So I was a little out of pocket. I was a little delayed with some emails. But yeah, just travel. Sometimes it's hard like that. But by all means, I am plugged in. Aside from our little trip to Universal Studios with our students on Friday, I'm gonna be plugged in. So if I don't hit you back on Friday, it's because I'm trying to corral the middle schoolers at Universal Studios. So give me a little grace on Friday. But other than that, I'll hit you back like that. So if you need anything in the meantime, you're not a bother. Hit me up. I'm happy to help any way that I can. So until next time, guys, keep on going.